Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the USV Horizon's Edge. Through the big window, he could see the alien fleet coming closer. The ships looked fancy with their bright colors and strange shapes. Jake had seen these ships many times before. Each time he had to smile and act like he was impressed. For 30 years, humans had been part of the galactic community. They had joined when alien ships first found Earth. The aliens had been surprised that humans could even travel in space. They thought Earth was just another primitive world. The aliens were wrong, but humans let them think that way. Jake touched the hidden panel on his chair. It showed the real power of his ship. The aliens thought the Horizon's Edge was just a transport vessel. They had no idea it could destroy their entire fleet in minutes. Every human ship had the same secret. They all pretended to be weak while hiding their true strength. Commander Lisa Bennett walked up to Jake. She had a datapad in her hands. Her face looked worried. "Captain, we just got the new orders from the Galactic Council," she said. "You need to see this." Jake took the pad and read the message. His jaw got tight as he read each word. The Zephyrian Empire had made a new law. All human colonies had to give up their weapons. The aliens said humans were too dangerous to have. Real weapons. They wanted to take away everything that kept human worlds safe. How many council members voted for this? Jake asked. "All of them," Lisa said. "Even the ones we thought were our friends. They all think we're too stupid to handle real weapons." Jake laughed, but it was not a happy sound. The aliens had no idea what real weapons looked like. Human weapons were so far ahead of alien technology that it was like comparing a rock to a spaceship. But humans had kept this secret for 3 decades. The bridge crew was listening. Jake could see the anger in their eyes. They were tired of pretending to be weak. They were tired of aliens treating them like children. Every human in the fleet felt the same way. "Sir," said Lieutenant Dan Parker from the communication station, "we're getting calls from all the human colonies. They want to know what we're going to do about the new law." Jake looked at the alien fleet again. They were so sure of themselves. They thought humans would just give up and follow orders like always. They had no idea that every human colony was actually a military base. They had no idea that human farmers were also soldiers. They had no idea that human scientists were also weapons experts. On the colony world of New Dakota, Dr. Amy Rodriguez was reading the same message. She was supposed to be just a simple doctor who helped sick people. The aliens thought she ran a small medical center. They were wrong. Amy was actually a military commander. Her medical center was really a command post for the planet's defense systems. Governor Pete Williams was with her. He looked angry as he read the message. "They want us to shut down all our defensive systems," he said. "They think we're going to just roll over and let them take control." Amy smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Maybe it's time we stopped pretending," she said. "Maybe it's time we showed them what humans really are." Pete nodded. He pressed a button. On his desk, all around the planet, hidden systems started to wake up. The aliens thought New Dakota was just a farming world. They had no idea that every farm hid missile silos. They had no idea that every barn was really a weapons depot. They had no idea that every farmer knew how to use military equipment. Back on the Horizon's Edge, Jake was talking to his crew. "For 30 years, we've been acting like we're weak," he said. "We've smiled and nodded when aliens treated us like children. We've let them think their technology was better than ours. We've pretended to be grateful for their help." The crew was nodding. They all knew the truth. Human technology was centuries ahead of anything the aliens had. Human weapons could destroy entire star systems. Human ships could travel faster than anything in the galaxy, but they had kept it all secret. "The aliens think we're just smart animals," Jake continued. They think we got lucky when we learned to travel in space. They think we need their protection. They have no idea that we've been protecting them from ourselves. Lieutenant Sarah Kim spoke up from the weapons station. Sir, what are your orders? Do we keep pretending? Jake looked at the alien fleet one more time. He thought about all the insults humans had endured. He thought about all the times aliens had talked down to them. He thought about all the times humans had to bite their tongues. And stay quiet. No, Jake said finally. I think it's time we stopped acting. He opened a communication channel to all human ships and colonies. His voice was calm but firm. This is Captain Morrison to all human forces. The masquerade is over. Repeat, the masquerade is over. Begin Operation Revelation. All across human space, the message was received. On Earth, hidden military bases started to power up. On Mars, weapons that had been disguised as mining equipment revealed their true purpose. On the asteroid belt, space stations that looked like research facilities showed their real nature as military fortresses. The aliens had made a big mistake. They had pushed humans too far. For 30 years, humans had been patient. They had been diplomatic. They had tried to fit in with galactic society. But the aliens had never shown them any real respect. Jake looked at his crew. They were all ready. They had been ready for years. Every human in the fleet knew this day would come. They had all been waiting for the moment when they could finally stop pretending to be something they were not. The aliens thought humans were weak because they came from a dangerous world. They thought Earth had made humans tough, but stupid. They were wrong. Earth had made humans into something much more dangerous than they could imagine. Earth had made humans into survivors who could adapt to anything. Earth had made humans into warriors who could fight anything. But more than that, Earth had made humans smart. Smart enough to hide their true nature. Smart enough to plan for the future. Smart enough to know when to reveal their strength. Alien fleet was getting closer. Soon, they would demand that humans surrender. They would expect humans to give up without a fight. They would expect humans to be grateful for alien protection. Jake smiled as he watched them approach. The aliens were about to learn something new about humans. They were about to learn that Deathworlders don't just survive their dangerous planets. They learn from them. They become stronger because of them. The day of pretending was over. The day of truth was about to begin. The Galactic Council building was huge and impressive. It floated in space above the planet Harmony, where all the important alien species came to make decisions. The building was made of crystal that changed colors in the light. It was meant to show how advanced and peaceful the galactic community was. Ambassador Karen Davis walked through the long hallways. She had been Earth's representative for 8 years. Every day, she had to smile and pretend that humans were honored to be part of the galactic community. Every day, she had to act like humans were grateful for alien guidance. Today was different. Today, Karen was not going to smile and nod. Today, she was going to tell the truth. The council chamber was a big round room with seats for all the different alien species. The Zephyrians sat in the center because they thought they were the most important. Their leader, Chancellor Vexthara, had blue skin and 4 arms. She looked at Karen like she was looking at a pet the Trilaxians were next to. Them. They were tall and thin with gray skin. They thought they were the smartest species in the galaxy. Their representative, Minister Caldoan, always spoke in a slow, careful voice like he was talking to a child. The hegemony members were the most arrogant. They were short and round with thick skin like rocks. They had conquered many worlds and thought they were the strongest. Their leader, General Korth, had scars all over his face from battles. There were dozens of other species. Some looked like insects, others like fish, and some like nothing humans had ever seen. but they all had one thing in common. They all thought humans were inferior. Karen took her seat in the section marked for developing species. It was a small area with cheap furniture. The aliens had made it clear that humans were not full members of the council. They were just guests who were allowed to watch and learn. Chancellor Vexthara stood up. Her voice was loud and commanding. "We are here today to discuss the human problem," she said. "The humans have been given too much freedom. They have been allowed to spread to too many worlds. This must stop." The other aliens nodded. They had been planning this for months. Karen had known it was coming. Human intelligence agents had been listening to their private conversations. The aliens had no idea that humans could understand their secret languages. "The humans are dangerous," General Court said. "They come from a death world. They are violent and unpredictable. They cannot be trusted with advanced weapons." Minister Kaldane spoke next. "Our scientists have studied human history. They have been fighting wars for their entire existence. They have destroyed much of their own planet. They will do the same to the galaxy if we let them." Karen listened to the lies and half-truths. The aliens had studied human history, but they had not understood it. They saw the wars and the destruction, but they did not see the progress. They did not see how humans had learned to work together. They did not see how humans had chosen to be better. Therefore, Chancellor Vexthara announced, "We have decided that all human colonies must be placed under alien supervision. Human weapons will be confiscated. Human military forces will be disbanded. This is for the good of the galaxy." The other aliens cheered. They thought they were solving a problem. They thought they were protecting themselves from dangerous humans. They had no idea what they were really doing. Karen stood up slowly. The chamber became quiet. All the aliens looked at her with curious expressions. They expected her to argue or plead. They expected her to ask for mercy. "I have heard your decision," Karen said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I understand that you believe humans are too dangerous to have freedom. I understand that you think we need your guidance and protection." The aliens nodded. They thought Karen was going to accept their decision. "However," Karen continued, "I must inform you that humanity rejects your proposal. We will not surrender our weapons. We will not accept alien supervision. We will not be treated like children any longer." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. The aliens could not believe what they were hearing. How could the humans refuse? They had no choice. They were weak and outnumbered. Chancellor Vexthara slammed her hand on the table. "You do not understand," she said. "This is not a request. This is a command. You will obey or face the consequences." Karen smiled. It was the first real smile she had worn in years. "I understand perfectly," she said. "You are threatening us. You are saying that if we do not surrender, you will attack us." "Exactly," General Korth said. "You cannot fight the entire galactic community. You are one small species against thousands of others." Karen reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed a map of the galaxy with all the human colonies marked in red. "This is what you think human space looks like," Karen said. The display changed to show the real extent of human territory. There were 10 times more red dots than before. "This is what human space actually looks like." The aliens stared at the display in shock. They had thought humans only controlled a few dozen worlds. The truth was that humans had colonies in every part of the galaxy. They had been expanding in secret for decades. "You see," Karen explained, "humans have been very busy while you were not paying attention. We have been building. We have been growing. We have been preparing." The display changed again. Now it showed the military strength of each human colony. The numbers were staggering. The aliens had thought human military forces were small and weak. The truth was that every human colony had enough firepower to destroy an entire alien fleet. "This is impossible," Minister Coldain said. "Our intelligence reports show that humans have primitive weapons. You cannot have technology this advanced." Karen's smile got bigger. "Your intelligence reports show what we wanted them to show. Did you really think we would reveal our true capabilities to species that considered us inferior?" The aliens were starting to understand. For 30 years, they had been watching humans and measuring their strength. But humans had been lying. To them, humans had been pretending to be weak while secretly becoming the most powerful species in the galaxy. "Every human ship you have seen was designed to look harmless," Karen continued. "Every human weapon you have examined was deliberately primitive. Every human colony you have visited was hiding its true purpose." Chancellor Vex Thara was pale with shock. "You have been deceiving us for decades," she said. "Yes," Karen said simply. "We have been deceiving you. We have been pretending to be grateful for your help. We have been pretending to be impressed by your technology. We have been pretending to be afraid of your threats." The chamber was completely silent. The aliens were beginning to realize the magnitude of their mistake. They had been treating humans like children, while humans were actually the adults in the room. "But why?" asked Minister Coldan. "Why did you pretend to be weak?" Karen's expression became serious. "Because we hoped you would learn to treat us with respect. We hoped you would accept us as equals. We hoped we could be part of your community without having to prove our strength." She paused and looked around the chamber. Every alien was staring at her with fear and confusion. "We were wrong," Karen said. "You have shown us that you will only respect strength. You have shown us that you will only listen to threats. You have shown us that you cannot be trusted to treat others fairly." Karen pressed another button on her device. The holographic display disappeared. "Therefore," she announced, "humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council. We are ending all treaties and agreements. We are no longer bound by your laws or your decisions." The aliens jumped to their feet. They were shouting and arguing. They could not believe that humans would dare to leave the council. They could not believe that humans would challenge their authority. Karen walked toward the exit. As she reached the door, she turned back to face the chamber. "You wanted to know what humans are really like," she said. "You wanted to see our true nature. You are about to get your wish." The door closed behind her, leaving the aliens in chaos. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. They had no idea that they had just started a war they could not win. Karen walked to her ship with a light step. After 8 years of pretending, she was finally free to be herself. The masquerade was over. The real humans were about to emerge. The Kepler station was supposed to be a simple trading post. It sat at the edge of human space, where merchant ships came to buy and sell goods. The aliens thought it was just another proof of human weakness. They saw humans trading food and basic materials while aliens traded advanced technology. Admiral Rachel Stone stood in the command center of her ship, the merchant vessel Free Trader. The ship looked old and rusty on the outside. The aliens had inspected it many times and always found the same thing: cargo holds full of grain and vegetables, engines that barely worked, and weapons that were centuries behind alien technology. Today, the Free Trader was carrying a different kind of cargo. Hidden beneath the fake grain were 300 human Marines in full combat armor. Hidden beneath the fake engine problems were power systems that could run a small city. Hidden beneath the fake weapons were devices that could crack a planet in half. "Admiral," said Captain Troy Mason, the leader of the Marine unit, "the Trilaxian enforcement fleet is approaching. They're demanding to board us for inspection." Rachel smiled. She had been waiting for this moment for 5 years. 5 years of pretending to be a simple merchant captain while actually commanding one of humanity's most powerful warships. Let them come, she said. It's time they learned what human hospitality really looks like. The Trilaxian fleet consisted of 12 ships. They were sleek and modern, with weapons that could destroy a small moon. The aliens were confident that they could handle any resistance from primitive humans. Captain Zilfik led the boarding party. He was tall and thin with gray skin and large black eyes. He had boarded human ships dozens of times. Humans were always polite and cooperative. They always apologized for any inconvenience and thanked the aliens for their protection. Zilfik and his team of 20 soldiers entered the free trader through the docking bay. The bay looked exactly like what they expected: dirty, cluttered, and filled with cheap human goods. "Captain Stone," Zilfik called out, "present yourself for inspection." Rachel walked into the bay wearing her fake merchant uniform. She looked tired and worried, like all human captains did when aliens boarded their ships. "Welcome aboard, Captain Zilfik," she said. "How can I help you today?" "We are here to confiscate your weapons," Zilfik announced. "The Galactic Council has decided that humans can no longer be trusted with dangerous technology." Rachel nodded. "Sadly, I understand. We wouldn't want to cause any trouble." Zilfik was pleased. The humans were being reasonable, as always. He gestured to his soldiers. "Search the ship, find all weapons, and remove them." The Trilaxian soldiers spread out through the ship. They moved confidently, expecting no resistance. They had done this many times before. Humans never fought back. That was their first mistake. The soldiers found the armory exactly where they expected it to be. The room was full of primitive human weapons: simple projectile guns, basic explosives, and crude energy. Weapons. Everything was at least a century behind current alien technology. "These weapons are pathetic," one soldier said to his partner. "How do humans expect to protect themselves with such primitive tools?" His partner was examining a human rifle. "They don't understand real warfare. They think bigger is better. They have no concept of elegant design." Neither soldier noticed that Captain Troy Mason was watching them through a hidden camera. Neither soldier noticed that they were standing in a trap. Troy pressed a button on his control panel. The walls of the armory suddenly moved. What had looked like solid metal revealed itself to be hidden compartments. The room was instantly filled with human marines in powered armor. The Trilaxian soldiers had time to look, surprised before they were stunned unconscious. The marines secured them quickly and quietly. No alarms were raised. "Team Alpha secure," Troy reported. 2 prisoners, no casualties. Similar scenes were playing out all over the ship. Trilaxian soldiers were finding exactly what they expected to find: weak human technology and cooperative human crew members. But they were also finding something else: human marines who had been waiting for this moment for years. Captain Zilfik was still in the docking bay with Admiral Rachel. He was becoming impatient as his soldiers failed to report back. "What is taking so long?" he demanded. "Your ship is not that large." Rachel shrugged. "Maybe they're being thorough. Humans can be very good at hiding things when we want to be." Zilfik's communicator crackled. "Captain, we found something strange. The humans appear to have hidden compartments throughout the ship." "We're investigating." "Hidden compartments?" Zilfik looked at Rachel suspiciously. "What are you hiding?" Rachel's expression changed. The fake worry disappeared. The pretend fear vanished. For the first time, Zilfik saw a human's real face. "We're hiding the truth," Rachel said calmly. The docking bay doors sealed shut. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in red. Zilfik reached for his weapon, but it was too late. Human marines emerged from every corner of the bay, their armor gleaming in the red light. "What is this?" Zilthik demanded. "You're merchants, not soldiers." "No," Rachel said. "We're not merchants. We never were merchants. We're the human military, and you just made a very big mistake." The free trader began to change around them. Walls slid away to reveal weapon systems. Floors opened to show missile tubes. The ceiling retracted to display enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. "This is impossible," Zilthik said. "Our sensors showed this ship was harmless. Our intelligence, our EPORTS, confirmed it." Rachel walked over to a control panel. With a few button presses, she shut down the ship's disguise systems. The rusty exterior fell away like old paint, revealing the sleek hull of a military vessel underneath. "Your sensors showed what we wanted them to show," she explained. "Your intelligence reports confirmed what we wanted them to confirm. Did you really think we would let you inspect our real ships?" On the bridge, Dr. Helen Burke was monitoring the situation. She wasn't really a doctor, just like Rachel wasn't really a merchant. Helen was actually a military intelligence officer. Her job was to make sure the aliens never learned the truth about human capabilities. "All boarding parties secured," Helen reported. "No alien casualties. They're all unconscious and contained." Rachel nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For 30 years, humans had been preparing for this moment. They had built fake ships, created false identities, and developed technology that could fool any alien sensor. "Open a channel to the Trilaxian fleet," Rachel ordered. The main screen showed Captain Zilthik's second-in-command, Commander Veltar. He looked confused and worried. "Captain Zilthik has not reported back," Veltar said. "We demand to know what has happened to our boarding party." Rachel appeared on the screen, but she was no longer wearing her merchant uniform. She was now dressed in the blue and gold uniform of a human admiral. "Your boarding party is safe," she said. "They are our guests. They will be returned to you unharmed after this conversation." Veltar stared at the screen in shock. "You're supposed to be a merchant captain," he said. "I am Admiral Rachel Stone of the Terran Fleet," she replied. "I have been waiting for this moment for 5 years." The screen split to show the real appearance of the free trader. The Trilaxian commander watched in amazement as the ship revealed its true nature. It wasn't a merchant vessel at all. It was a warship more advanced than anything in the alien fleet. "This is a trick," Veltar said. "Humans don't have this kind of technology." "Humans have had this technology for decades," Rachel replied. "We've been hiding it from you. We've been pretending to be weak while secretly becoming stronger than you can imagine." More human ships began to appear on the Trilaxian sensors. They had been cloaked, invisible to alien detection. There were dozens of them, all more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. Lieutenant Colonel Nick Foster led a team of Marines to the communication center. Their job was to broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. The message was simple but important. Humans were no longer pretending to be weak. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," Nick reported. "Every species in the galaxy will receive this message." Rachel turned back to the screen. Commander Veltar was frantically calling for reinforcements. He was realizing that his fleet was vastly outnumbered and outgunned. "You have 2 choices," Rachel told him. "You can withdraw peacefully and report back to your government, or you can try to fight us and learn why Earth is classified as a death world." Veltar looked at his tactical display. His 12 ships were surrounded by 50 human vessels. His weapons were no match for human technology. His shields couldn't protect him from human firepower. "We withdraw," he said quietly. "Good choice," Rachel replied. "Tell your leaders that the age of human submission is over. We tried to be diplomatic. We tried to be peaceful. We tried to fit in with your galactic community. She paused, letting her words sink in. You have chosen conflict instead of cooperation. You have chosen dominance instead of equality. You have chosen to treat us as enemies instead of friends. The human fleet began to move into formation. They were no longer hiding their true capabilities. They were no longer pretending to be harmless. The galaxy is about to learn what Deathworlders are really like when they stop being civilized, Rachel announced. We hope you're ready for the lesson. The combined fleet of the Galactic Council was the largest military force ever assembled. Over 2,000 ships from dozens of different species filled the space around Earth's solar system. The aliens had come to teach humanity a lesson about. Defying the Galactic Order. Fleet, Admiral Zixon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The ship was 5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. Around him, the bridges of other command ships showed the leaders of every major alien species. Today we end the human rebellion, Zixon announced to the fleet. Today we show them what happens when primitive species challenge their betters. The other commanders nodded in agreement. General Korth of the Hegemony was eager for battle. Chancellor Vexthara of the Zephyrians was confident in victory. Minister Kaldane of the Trilaxians had already planned the occupation of Earth. They had studied human military capabilities for weeks. According to their intelligence, humans had perhaps 50 warships total. The aliens had 40 times that number. The battle would be over in minutes. Colonel Sandy Brooks watched the alien fleet through her telescope from Luna Base. The moon looked peaceful and empty to alien sensors. They saw a few small research stations and some mining operations. They had no idea that Luna was actually the most heavily fortified military installation in human space. The moon's surface was covered with hidden weapon systems. Deep beneath the rock, massive fusion reactors powered defensive shields that could stop any attack. Underground factories produced weapons and ammunition around the clock. The entire moon was a fortress disguised as a peaceful scientific outpost. Alien fleet is in position, Sandy reported to Earth Command. They're broadcasting surrender demands. On Earth, the aliens could see the blue and green planet that had produced humanity. It looked beautiful and peaceful. City lights twinkled on the night side. Clouds swirled in the atmosphere. Everything appeared normal in UNDEFENDED. The aliens were wrong. Earth was the most defended planet in the galaxy. Hidden beneath the mountains were command centers that could coordinate attacks across thousands of star systems. Buried under the oceans were submarine bases filled with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Every city had underground bunkers that could protect the population from any assault. Admiral Zixon opened a communication channel to Earth. Humans of Earth, he said, you have defied the Galactic Council. You have refused to accept our authority. You have chosen rebellion over cooperation. The response came from President Claire Johnson. She spoke from the White House, but her words were broadcast throughout the galaxy. Admiral Zixon, you have come to our home system with an invasion fleet. You have threatened our world and our people. You have chosen war over peace. Zixon laughed. War? This is not war. This is punishment. You are outnumbered 40-1. You have no chance of victory. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Let me show you something, Claire replied. The space around Earth began to shimmer. What had looked like empty space suddenly filled with ships. Hundreds of human vessels appeared as their cloaking systems shut down. They had been there all along, invisible to alien sensors. The alien fleet commanders stared in shock. Their sensors had shown empty space. Their intelligence had said humans had no significant military presence in the Sol system. The truth was that Earth was protected by the largest concentration of military power in the galaxy. This is impossible, General. Korth said. Our scouts reported no human ships in this system. Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see, Claire replied. Just like your intelligence reports told you what we wanted them to tell you. Did you really think we would leave our homeworld undefended? More ships appeared. They came from behind. Planets, from asteroid fields, from the empty space between worlds. The alien fleet found itself surrounded by human vessels that shouldn't have existed. Captain Greg Palmer commanded the dreadnought Washington. His ship was larger than any alien vessel and carried weapons that could destroy multiple targets at once. For 30 years, the Washington had been hidden in the asteroid belt, disguised as a mining operation. All human ships, this is Washington, Greg announced. Battle stations, prepare to defend Earth. The human fleet moved into combat formation. The aliens watched in amazement as ships that should have been slow and clumsy moved with perfect coordination. Human vessels that should have been primitive and weak revealed advanced technology that made alien ships look like toys. Begin the attack, Admiral Zixon ordered. All ships opened fire. The alien fleet launched their assault. Thousands of weapons fired at once. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and kinetic missiles filled the space around Earth. The attack was powerful, enough to destroy a dozen planets. The human ships didn't even try to dodge. They sat in space and let the alien weapons hit them. The aliens cheered, thinking they had won an easy victory. Then the explosions cleared, and the human ships were still there. Their shields had absorbed the entire alien attack without taking any damage. The weapons that should have destroyed them had barely scratched their hulls. Target their command ships, Greg ordered. Show them what real weapons look like. The Washington fired a single shot. The beam was so powerful that it lit up the entire solar system. It struck the Eternal Dominion and passed completely through the ship. The 5-kilometer flagship split in half and exploded. Admiral Zixon had just enough time to look surprised before his ship was destroyed. The most powerful vessel in the alien fleet was gone in seconds. Impossible, General Korth said from his own ship. That weapon shouldn't exist. No species has technology that advanced. We do, Colonel Sandy Brooks said from Luna Base. We've had it for decades. We've been hiding it from you. Luna Base revealed its true nature. The peaceful moon suddenly bristled with weapons. Giant cannons emerged from hidden bunkers. Missile silos opened across the lunar surface. The entire moon was a weapons platform disguised as a scientific station. Lunar weapons opened fire. Each shot could destroy a battleship. The alien fleet began to fall apart as human weapons found their targets. Ships that had taken years to build were destroyed in seconds. This is a massacre, Chancellor Vexthara said. We need to retreat. No, General Korth replied. We can't retreat. If we run now, humans will think they can challenge us anywhere. We have to make a stand. The hegemony ships moved forward, trying to break through the human lines. They were the most heavily armed vessels in the alien fleet. Their weapons had conquered 100 worlds. Captain Susan Wright commanded the human destroyer Defiant. Her ship was smaller than the alien battleships, but it was also faster and more maneuverable. She led a squadron of destroyers against the hegemony advance. All ships, target their engines, Susan ordered. Disable them. Don't destroy them. We want prisoners, not corpses. The human destroyers moved like dancers, avoiding alien weapons while striking with surgical precision. They didn't try to destroy the enemy ships. Instead, they disabled them, leaving them floating helplessly in space. How are they doing that? General Korth demanded. Our weapons can't even target them. They're too fast. Human ships are built different, President Johnson explained. We designed them to fight in the space around Earth. They know every rock, every gravity well, every hiding spot in this system. The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The aliens had more ships, but the humans had better ships. The aliens had more weapons, but the humans had better weapons. Most importantly, the humans were fighting to protect their home, while the aliens were fighting to conquer someone else's. One by one, the alien ships were disabled or destroyed. The great fleet that had come to punish humanity was falling apart. The species that had thought they were teaching humans a lesson were learning a lesson themselves. "We surrender," Chancellor Vextara finally announced. "We cannot continue this battle. You have defeated us." "Good," President Johnson replied. "Now let me tell you what's going to happen next." The surviving alien ships were surrounded by human vessels. They were trapped in Earth's solar system with no way to escape. Their weapons were disabled, their engines were offline, and their crews were captured. "You came here to conquer us," Johnson continued. "You came here to force us to obey your laws. You came here to treat us like children who needed discipline." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Instead, you have learned what happens when you threaten a Deathworld species. You have learned what happens when you attack beings who evolved to survive anything. You have learned what happens when you underestimate humans." 6 months later, the war was over. It had not been a long war, but it had been a complete one. Every species that had voted to subjugate humanity had learned the same lesson. Deathworlders were not weak. They were not primitive. They were not grateful for alien protection. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in what used to be the Galactic Council chambers. The beautiful crystal building was still intact, but everything inside had changed. The fancy seats where alien leaders had made there. Arrogant decisions were now occupied by human officers. The war had not been about destroying the aliens. Humans were not monsters, despite what some species believed. The war had been about teaching a lesson. The lesson was simple: treat humans with respect, or face the consequences. "The new Galactic Charter is ready for signing," Admiral Kate announced to the assembled alien representatives. "Any species that wishes to join the Terran Federation may do so. Any species that prefers to remain independent may do so. But no species will ever again claim authority over humanity." The aliens who remained were very different from the ones who had started the war. Gone was the arrogance. Gone was the condescension. Gone was the assumption that they were superior to humans. Chancellor Vextara, what was left of the Zephyrian leadership, spoke first. "Admiral Sullivan, we accept the terms of the Federation. We apologize for our past behavior. We did not understand what we were dealing with." Kate nodded. "Understanding is the first step toward cooperation. We hope you have learned from this." Experience. The Trilaxians were next. Minister Caldane looked much older than he had 6 months ago. "We also accept," he said quietly. "We have seen what happens when species refuse to work together. We do not wish to repeat that mistake." One by one, the alien species accepted the new order. Some did it eagerly, hoping to benefit from human technology and protection. Others did it reluctantly, knowing they had no choice. A few refused and were allowed to leave, with the understanding that they would not be welcome back. General Korth of the hegemony was among those who refused. His species had been the most aggressive in trying to control humanity. They had paid the highest price for their arrogance. "We will not bow to humans," he declared. "We will rebuild our fleets. We will return stronger than before." Kate looked at him with something that might have been pity. "General, your homeworlds are now protected by human defense systems. Your colonies are being rebuilt with human assistance. Your people are eating food grown on human farms. How exactly do you plan to rebuild without our help?" Korth's face showed his rage, but also his helplessness. The hegemony had been the strongest military power in the galaxy before the war. Now they were completely dependent on human charity to survive. You can leave whenever you want, Kate continued, but you cannot threaten other species. You cannot attack peaceful worlds. You cannot return to your old ways of conquest and domination. If you do, we will stop you. The general left without another word. A few other alien representatives went with him. They would try to build new lives somewhere far from human space. Kate hoped they would learn from their experience. If they didn't, humanity would be ready for them. Captain Doug Miller patrolled the former hegemony territory in his ship, the Peacekeeper. The name was not ironic. His job really was to keep the peace. He made sure that no species was attacking another. He made sure that trade routes remained open. He made sure that the strong did not prey on the weak. Captain, his communications officer reported, we're getting a distress call from the Altair system. Pirates are attacking a refugee convoy. Doug smiled grimly. Set course for Altair. Maximum speed. The pirates were a mix of different species. Some were former hegemony soldiers who had turned to crime. Others were criminals who thought the war had created opportunities for easy profit. They were all about to learn that human protection extended to everyone in Federation space. The Peacekeeper arrived to find 6 pirate ships attacking a convoy of refugee vessels. The refugees were former slaves who had been freed when humanity dismantled the hegemony's forced labor system. They were trying to reach a new home where they could live in freedom. Pirate vessels, Doug announced over the communication system. This is Captain Miller of the Terran Federation. You are attacking innocent civilians. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The pirate leader laughed. 1 human ship against 6 of us? You're outnumbered, human. Run away while you still can. Doug's response was to fire a single warning shot. The beam passed between the pirate ships without hitting any of them. But it was powerful enough to light up their sensors and show them exactly what they were facing. That was a warning, Doug said calmly. The next shot will not miss. You have 10 seconds to withdraw. 5 of the pirate ships immediately began to retreat. Their captains were smart enough to recognize superior firepower when they saw it. The 6th ship, commanded by a former hegemony general named Vorth, decided to fight. I will not run from a single human ship, Vorth declared. I will show these refugees what real strength looks like. His ship opened fire with everything it had. The weapons were military grade, stolen from hegemony armories. They should have been powerful enough to seriously damage any vessel. The Peacekeepers' shields absorbed the attack without even flickering. Doug's return shot disabled the pirate ship's engines and weapons in seconds. The vessel was left floating helplessly in space. Refugees' vessels, Doug announced. You are safe now. Proceed to your destination. Federation ships will escort you to make sure you arrive safely. The refugee convoy continued on its way. The disabled pirate ship was taken into custody. Vorth and his crew would be tried for their crimes and given a chance to reform. If they chose to continue their criminal behavior, they would be exiled to a remote world where they could not harm anyone. President Claire Johnson sat in her office in the rebuilt White House. Outside her window, she could see the lights of Washington, D.C. The city looked the same as it had before the war, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer pretending to be weak. Human ships patrolled every corner of the galaxy. Human technology was helping to rebuild worlds damaged by centuries of war. Human diplomats were working to create lasting peace between species that had been enemies for generations. Madam President, her aide announced, the monthly Galactic Status Report is ready. Claire reviewed the report with satisfaction. Crime was down across all Federation worlds. Trade was increasing between species that had never cooperated before. New colonies were being established on worlds that had been considered too dangerous to settle. Most importantly, there had been no major conflicts between species for 6 months. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in centuries. Door to her office opened, and Admiral Kate Sullivan entered. "Madam President, we have a request from the Andromedans. They want to open diplomatic relations with the Federation." Claire looked up in surprise. The Andromedans were from another galaxy entirely. They were one of the few species that humans had never encountered before. "What do they want?" Claire asked. "They've been watching the changes in our galaxy," Kate explained. "They're impressed by what we've accomplished. They want to learn how we created such a stable peace." Claire smiled. It was ironic that aliens from another galaxy were interested in learning from humans. 6 months ago, the species in their own galaxy had considered humans too primitive to be worth listening to. "Set up the meeting," she said. "Maybe we can. Teach them what we've learned." The meeting took place on a neutral space station at the edge of the galaxy. The Andromedan representative was unlike any alien humans had met before. She was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer like starlight. "I am Ambassador Lyra of the Andromedan Council," she said. "We have observed your transformation of this galaxy with great interest. How did you achieve such rapid change?" Claire had been chosen to represent humanity at the meeting. "We stopped pretending to be something we weren't," she said simply. "We stopped trying to fit in with systems that didn't respect us. We showed our true capabilities and demanded to be treated as equals." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Your species comes from what you call a death world. We have studied such planets. Most species that evolve on dangerous worlds become aggressive and violent. But you have become protectors instead of conquerors. How is this possible?" "Because we learned that true strength comes from protecting others, not dominating them," Claire replied. "We learned that the strongest species are the ones that help others become strong too." The Andromedan was quiet for a long moment. "In our galaxy, we have many conflicts. Many species fight over resources and territory. We have not been able to create the kind of peace you have here. Would you like us to help?" Claire asked. And so humanity's influence began to spread beyond their own galaxy. The species that had been dismissed as primitive Deathworlders became teachers and peacekeepers for civilizations across the universe. The day that humans finally dropped the act of being civilized had changed everything. But civilization, they had learned, was not about being weak or submissive. True civilization was about being strong enough to protect others, and wise enough to choose cooperation over conquest. The galaxy was better for it. The universe would be better for it too.